All right, so this is example 5 on page 477 of section 7.2 of your book. It's a word problem that we're going to set up. The reason systems are useful and systems of 3 and 4 and 5 equations is because they help us model things and solve. So this is a nice, simple style of problem to get you used to setting up your system. So we have a total of $2,000 to be invested at a 1%, 2%, and 2.5%. Not great interest rates, but we're just trying to keep the numbers relatively simple so you will stay sane. That's the reason. The amount invested at 2.5% is 6 times the amount at 1%. The total interest is $44. How much is invested at each rate? So what we're going to do in this video, we are going to set up the system. I'm going to give you a tip on solving it, and then if you want to see the rest of the solution, turn to page 477 of your book and you can follow along. It's the same process that I outlined in the 2 previous videos. So here we go. First thing I have to do is I have to identify the things I don't know so I can set up my equations. So I've got 3 accounts I'm investing in. So I'm going to let X be the 1% account. I'm going to let Y be the 2% account. And Z be the 2.5% account. I do not know how much money I have invested in each of those accounts, but I have been given some other information once I do know. So the first thing that I know, first keyword, the word total. Total means add everything up. So what total means is I went to the bank with $2,000, or I went to my investment manager, whoever, and I said, I have $2,000. I want you to spread this among 3 different accounts. So that means that the amount of money in the first account, the 1%, plus the amount of money in the 2%, plus the amount of money in the 2.5%, that equals the $2,000 that I brought to the table. So that is the first keyword. Always look for the keywords when setting up and solving word problems. That way it makes setting up the equations much easier. So that is the first sentence. The second sentence says the amount invested at 2.5% is 6 times the amount at 1%. So we are given a relationship. So let's just read the words the way they are and go ahead and make an equation. It says the amount invested at 2.5%. These words right here, the amount invested at 2.5%, we have called that Z. The word is, in math, the word is means equals. 6 times, so 6 times the amount at 1%, and the amount at 1% we called X. So Z is equal to 6X. Last but not least, I am told the total interest. Okay. The total interest. So this is just a simple interest problem. Again, we're keeping this nice and relaxed just to help you get used to setting up the systems. So what this is going to be is the amount of interest at the first account is 0.01 times X. This is the percentage times the total amount of money I put in. The amount of interest I earn from the second account is 0.02Y. This is the percent times the amount. And then the last one is 0.025Z, and that, according to what I'm told, is $44. Before I let you go and finish solving this on your own, there are 2 things that I would recommend you do to make your solving of this nice and relaxed. The top equation I would leave the way it is, so X plus Y plus Z is equal to 2,000. This equation right here, I'm going to get all of my X's and Y's and Z's on the same side. So I'm going to bring the 6X by subtracting. So I've got negative 6X plus Z is equal to 0. Okay. So I brought the 6X over. I'm lining everything up so that when I go to cancel later. And then last but not least, on this equation, since I have decimals, if you're comfortable with the decimals, that's great, but a lot of students are not. So what I'm going to encourage you to do is I'm going to encourage you to multiply each of these by the power of 10. That'll get rid of the decimals. I have 2 decimal places here. I have 2 decimal places here. I have 3 decimal places here. So that means I'm going to multiply everything there by 1,000. Okay, that's going to get my decimal places. So 1,000 times 0.01 is 10x. 1,000 times 0.02 is 20y. 1,000 times 0.025z is 25z, and then 1,000 times 44 is 44,000. So there's my system, and now what you're going to do is use the same process that we outlined in the previous two videos. Start off eliminating what I would do. Remember, the least amount of resistance. This equation is already missing a y. I would get rid of the y's in these two equations. Then you have two equations with two unknowns. That's just my suggestion. If you want the answer, again, this is example 5 on page 477, if you want to see if you finished out strong.